She wasn't a spoilt brat, but she was clearly a spoilt child in terms of the access that she had. She had an amazing upbringing. Georgian society were pleased that women weren't educated because they didn't need to be educated. George Bowes treated his only child, who just so happened to be a daughter, very differently. So she was educated in a fashion that would have been normally passed on to sons. She doted on her father. How could you not be inspired? He created an amazing garden. It's clear that the kind of heroic landscape design influenced her. The whole creation of the landscape garden here is a real statement of somebody's control of nature. So it's George Bowes, her father, saying, I'm in control of nature. I'm building a very straight avenue with a very tall column at the end. She would have probably thought, well, how can I emulate that? Gibside wouldn't have been a quiet place, so there was all sorts of people coming to look at what her father had created. She was brought up in this environment of actually quite radical things going on behind her. So you could imagine if she was educated, if she was given access to books and teaching, that this inspired her to go maybe that little bit further.
Her father had promised her that she would have a European tour, and all of this was taken away from her when he died when she was 11.
Your last letter filled me with great joy. Everything is going so well with my studies. And the garden, it's looking beautiful at this time of year. I do so wish you could see it. I have been helping our gardener plant daffodils ready for the spring. I have even planted my own patch within the walled garden.
Her freedom was taken away from her because her mother, who was devastated by grief, retired from the world, but then finally took Mary Eleanor to London, and it was all the debutante and finding a husband. But then along came Andrew Robinson's story. It was a plot. He was Irish, he was a soldier, he was glamorous and very charismatic, and he already had heard about Mary Eleanor. She was the richest heiress in all of Europe. So he had his sights set on her, and really it was a campaign. So he started to write letters to the newspaper, which were anonymous, talking about the fact that this woman was running a temple of folly. And then in his own name, he wrote letters defending her. He's supposed to have challenged the editor of the newspaper to a duel, defending the honour of Lady Strathmore. And the first she knew of it was that she was called to the bedside. The King's doctor certified that this man was not going to live. I imagined her saying, what can I do, what can I do? And him saying, you can just do one thing, marry me on my deathbed. She did it. She's sworn in the marriage ceremony to obey him. She was burnt with candles, she had cigarettes stumped out on her hand, she was beaten with the flat of his sword, she was locked in cupboards, she was starved. This servant, Mary Morgan, who then became Mary Eleanor's lifetime friend, is the one who gives her the courage to say, this is not acceptable, you've got to get away from this.
Dear Lady Eleanor, I am writing you this as I have spent enough time here and witnessed enough for your husband to realise that what he is doing to you is unjust and cannot continue. A lady of your stature should not have to suffer so, and as a result, I'm willing to aid you. The bread on the tray contains the key for the door. Please use it. I shall be readying the horses upon the delivery of this letter.
There had been several other divorces before then, but only women who could afford it and had the backing and family and the status to do it But what she was the first to achieve her own property. She got her property back.
The sad thing is, not very many people know about her legacy. I think it's the National Trust's job to undo that and to pass on the stories.
Because her second relationship was so abusive and she was living in an extremely cold environment and household, that the fact that she managed to lift up her head was a real sign of courage. So she retired to a lovely house near the coast, near Bournemouth. That was like her final act of love for Gibside, because what she did was, when she got her properties back, she signed it all over to her eldest son.
My dearest son, I hope this letter finds you well. I remember the northern winters, and now, with the cold creeping into the country, I find myself thankful for the milder midwinter months here in the south. I hope my Gibside is being looked after. The garden withers in the winter, but have faith in it, as I always have. It will blossom once more. It will find a way when the sun shines again. Have faith and remember this: courage is not the towering oak that weathers the storm. It's the delicate flower that blossoms in the snow. Yours forever, your mother, Lady Eleanor.